We're good to go and alive. So,
Welcome, Craig.
welcome, Craig. Ever present Craig.
Our ever steady, ever resilient audience member, Craig.
Yes.
So, um, Luna, could you also turn up your volume a little bit? You're coming in a little quiet on my side too.
I think I can. Let's see. That should help to some
I'm
degree.
here, but I'll probably be muted for a little while, or I'll be quiet. I'll be the peanut gallery.
Oh, okay.
Also, AK Lady, it is Diana now.
Yeah, I changed it back. It's
I
fine.
know she did, but I didn't. I wasn't sure which way she was gonna go. So do we continue with the one where?
No, you're fine. Diana is perfectly okay. I'm just gonna stick with the one username from now on.
Okay. Well, welcome, Diana. Also, welcome, Indila. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for joining.
Um, Adfang, I would like to say thank you for joining us. We know that you're not feeling the bestest, and your throat is um bothering you. So, at least thanks for hanging out here with us.
Yes, thank you.
So, if we'd like to, let's get it kicked off. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Welcome to Talking Esoteric. I'm AK Lady.
I am Diana Tempest.
And I'm Adfing.
So,
And
how's everybody doing today? Happy Tuesday, January the 6th. Wow, can you believe that? That's kind of crazy.
it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
there's an anniversary for today, but I'm not going to speak about it because we're not going to get into politics.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, okay. That's fair. I
yeah.
thank you for that fond memory.
You're welcome. I just wanted to, bring that up.
Is yeah. Um
You're
what
welcome.
it is the new year, so like what are we talking about? Um I'm not 100% sure. I think it goes for everyone here for me to say that we all three of us have been sick for several days at this point. Um and we just happen to have the energy to appear on a podcast.
Yeah, I thank you for bringing that up, Diana. We're in a new year. It's now officially 2026. I mean, we're just shy of a weekend and Holy Hannah. I don't even watch the news hardly, and wow, boy howdy. But again, we don't talk about politics here. Um, so maybe let's just kind of start. We're notorious for tangents, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about the energy and like how how was the end of 2025 for you, and how is 2026 starting off?
I think for me, and I don't like I don't know if it's just my general optimism. 2025 was in fact a nightmare all the way up until the end because that's just how it was. It couldn't have ended slower. But now that we're in 2026, I do feel like it feels better. Um, it's it's like it is like everything, is still going on. You still have your own issues happening. Like I was literally just sick. I still probably am somewhat sick. But it feels like it feels less and I think I said this on another place somewhere, but it feels less cursed. It feels less chaotic and I don't feel like I'm trapped in a time paradox where every day is 50 years.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's it's something. Um, last year was something. Um, Also, like, I'd like to say a huge congratulations to you, Diana,
But
for no, no, like you handle yourself with a lot of grace, and you're very subtle and quiet in your approach to things, but you always have such great insight. But I would like to pitch for you um, your your Moon Lantern broadcast. I think that takes a lot of courage, and kudos to you for kind of following your dream and the desire you kind of been pushed into. Um, so, congratulations! I really enjoyed um, listening. So I just wanted to share that. Like, I know it takes a bit to push ourselves outside of our comfort zones, and you did that brilliantly. Um, so congratulations, and thanks for sharing that.
well, thank you. That's wonderful. Yeah, it's gonna be a slow going project, but I think funnily enough, I think all of my projects right now are kind of slow going, but I think the fact that they're going at all is sort of the point. Um, I will shamelessly plug that I'm also working on sort of a side uh a side server project, but I haven't figured that out 100% yet how to like describe that or what its use will be. Um, but it'll be interesting. I think January for me is going to be planting a lot of seeds for sure.
Excellent. I was gonna ask, like, here is a thought that I'm just gonna follow with. How did the end of the year? How has this winter, say, since solstice? Um, have you seen any changes in your practice, in anything like that? Have you done anything different? Have you felt anything different? And I would like to say welcome to Crystal for joining us.
Yes, welcome. Um, I'd say so, yes. I think that a lot of despite the challenges of 2025, this winter especially, I've done a lot of personal transformation, which you've kind of been made aware of, which I'm happy to be open about. I am working on uh, necromancy. I consider myself a necromancer. Um, I think also one of the bigger factors is I'm kind of taking, and I guess I am gonna have to talk about the server thing that I'm kind of working on. I'm taking like the concepts of these, I guess, quote unquote, like usual societally frowned upon part to practice entities and various magical things that are typically like frowned upon or looked at in a bad light. And I am kind of trying to help, I guess, for me, recontextualize them. Because, at least in my experience, most of those things, and I've kind of talked about it before, I guess, is that those things in and of themselves aren't bad, and they don't they are not within themselves harmful. It is the people who use them, and it is the people that they sometimes attract, um, which in my experience has been edge lords, uh, big ego folks, cult leaders, the like. Um, so I guess part of what I did at the beginning of this year, which was kind of interesting, is I got fed up with another server, which will not be named, just because they had a lot of folks that kind of fit the bill of what I just described. Um, and I think I finally broke down and was like, okay, well, since no one else seems to be able to pull together a server for these kind of like darker topics and not be like the absolute worst, I guess I have to do it. So I'm putting together a server that's kind of a combination of um, various magical practices with a heavy leaning on infernalist um, recognition. So a lot of demons and stuff of that make. But really, anyone who has a level head on their shoulders is welcome. Um, and I do hope, and I do want to make it very clear, like I am being exceptionally mindful of the fact that like this server and its topics will be incredibly diversified from this server as well as a couple other ones. And the fact that I do not, it serves a very specific purpose, whereas I feel like this server, Empathic's Journey, also serves a different, very specific purpose, if that makes sense.
I mean, that sounds absolutely fantastic. And thank you for feeling comfortable enough to share that. I think, you and I have talked enough, you know, um, independently that or understand my feelings on pretty much everything in the spiritual or magical realm. I really don't ascribe to the fact that anything is wrong or bad. I think it's just how people, like you said, how a lot of people approach it or how a lot of people view it. So it comes from that lens of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, kudos for peeling back a lot of the control that is so heavily ascribed to in a lot of those types of practice, right? It comes down to domination, um, controlling the narrative. These are things
Mm-hmm.
that I constantly kind of riff and rant and bitch about because the negative connotations do not necessarily belong there. I think everyone should be open to explore an avenue that they feel comfortable in because there is a reason behind it. Like just to say that because it looks like this, then that makes it bad. I mean, that's, I'm going to get in trouble for this one, but it's like spiritual bigotry. I mean, really, at the end of the day. And, um, so I'm really that's really exciting to hear, and I know if anyone can take that on um, and make it a nice, a comfortable space, then that's definitely you, Diana. So yay, thank you. I'm really excited to see how it takes shape and takes form. So thank you for sharing that.
I appreciate it, and 100% I agree with those statements. And something I would add that's kind of the big reason, like the straw that I guess broke the camel's back, is like there is this notion of And I do think this is one of those rare times where I'm going to be like, it is an like it is an us, as in like the collective occult community is an us problem that people don't seem to recognize or address, for a number of reasons, but like a lot of the folks who take on those paths like get so I feel like almost ingrained into the idea of like, well, this is a place for dark stuff, so I'm not gonna care about moderating my server. I'm not gonna care about who I let in. I'm not gonna care about like other people's feelings. All those things are separate factors to magical and spiritual practice or working with entities or any of that stuff. Like, regardless of the topic of your server, I feel like you have to have a space that people can be in where it's it's stable and they feel like it's, and I will get in trouble for saying this. It needs to feel like a safe space, and it needs to feel like an accessible space, not just for egotistical hard asses who have zero empathy because they feel like that's how you have to be in order to practice this kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, that is my tiny soapbox about, I guess, Discord etiquette, no matter what the topic of the Discord is. Um, yeah, no, thank you. I'm very excited. I don't know where any of it will go, but it'll go somewhere.
Nice. Nice. That's really great. So it sounds like, I mean, so far you're feeling very positive for the year. I would ask Adfang, like, how, I know he doesn't feel like he can add a whole lot, not because he doesn't have a lot to say, but because he is under the weather. Um, have you, Adfang, felt any kind of changes
I mean,
in
yeah,
your
I felt
practice?
a sore throat. I feel like this year is going to bring a lot of new stuff. I feel like things are going to be less focused on, you know, the world. Oh, let me try to phrase this in a different way. Um, Focused on the bad things that can happen and more focused on the positive outcomes. So I think there's going to be a lot more, at least I feel like I want to venture out more. And that's what I mean by like, okay, well, maybe I'm getting a little more outside of my comfort zone, which I've been trying to do, but trying to, look at how getting outside of that comfort zone of the things is going to improve my overall practice.
Gotcha. Well, that's great to hear. Um, I think I would agree with you that there's a little more positivity coming through. Although last year for me was really up and down. It felt like there was a this huge surge of positive energy at the beginning of the year and for the first 3 months, and then it kind of fizzled, and it was felt like a big game of ping pong to me, to be honest. Um, and I'm glad to hear that you feel like you're willing to explore and venture out of your comfort zone a lot more. That's really positive.
I'm ready to try new things and experience more things. And I think that this year is going to be conducive for that.
Awesome. Absolutely love it. I would like to say I it's really crazy. Like, I can feel how low energy we are today. So apologies to anybody listening or who goes back and listens and watches it later. Um,
Like, you guys don't sound yourselves. That's correct. We are. we are performing a duty for everyone, and we are not feeling that great, but we're glad to be here.
We're always glad to be here. Thank you, Crystal, and very nice to meet you. I know you're a brand spanky new member. You just came in yesterday, so thank you for taking time out of your day um, to hang out and join us for an hour or two, generally, or two. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting for me. This So, as you know, I, I I follow more into the woo aspect of things, the woo woo. A lot of numerologists are talking about this year as a year one, like last year was a year nine. Um, but I have come across several numerologists who are explaining this year as a 10. So, um, which is interesting. So one is generally considered new beginnings, of course, we know that. And 10, of course, is a year of conclusions, kind of wrapping up the final chapter. Um, I'm not a numerologist. Okay. I I'm curious. I'm always highly curious with different practices. Um, I would say that I feel a little more like I would ascribe to the whole year 10 because so far for me, from just prior to winter solstice forward, um, it feels as if this is a time of I know Luna said planting the seeds. For me, this is very much an incubation um, period, uh, kind of in tune with the cycle around me, it within nature. Okay, um, it feels like there's going to be a lot of closure and working through a lot of you know, shadow work and different things that have popped up throughout the year, big lessons that have been themes ongoing for the last, um, well, quite a few years. And so I find it really interesting. That's why I'm really curious to see how things are resonating with other people. Because I'm always like checking to see is it like the one off or um, is it more of a collective thing? And so I find it um, positive. It I would describe the beginning part of January so far, since the culmination of the 31st, moving on as like this very slow rhythmic tempo that is like building. So it's headed towards, a little more speed and ultimately a crescendo. I would, that's kind of my take on it. As you know, I view things a little more abstract. So,
Hmm. And I think that's a
proper
good
that.
way. I think that's a great way to start the year, like incubating. Like I One of my goals this year, and it's going to be a long term goal, is to get more into astrology and like starting to understand that. Because I don't. I get what I did was I took my natal chart and I plugged it into Chat GPT, and I was like, "Can you read this?" Because I can't. And Chat GPT straight up was like, "January for you is not about launching things." I was like, "Okay, sure." That's fair. Um, but yeah, I think that especially after 2025, everyone needs to take the advice that I will probably not take myself, which is you need to rest. You need to recalibrate. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, the world is still on fire, and uh, we should take advantage of the fact that we're not on fire, and we should try to get ourselves back into the place we need to be to do the things that we want to do specifically. Like I guess my only 2026 resolution this year was I don't know what I'm going to do 100%, but whatever it is, I'm going to like grab 2026 by the collar and just be like, this is happening. We're not doing 2025 again. Like I feel I feel one 2025 every 50 or so years is maybe enough.
Fair point. Fair point. Um, Send me your natal chart in a DM.
Okay.
And I'm not fast. It takes me a little bit to plot out um, everything. Or if you just want to send me, actually, just send me your birth info so I can look it up, and then I can plot transits for you as well. Because I think those are important aspects that tend to get forgotten or laywayed.
Yeah, I don't mind. And honestly, I deeply appreciate it. On my own, the most I could get the internet to do for me was I did get like the baseline chart. So if you can do more than that, that is amazing.
Y- Yeah, of course. I mean, I've got several certifications in it. I just don't generally. Um, Again, I'm not speedy with it because it's like anything that we do. I kind of have to be in flow, and even though I do have, I would say I have a pretty solid understanding of Western astrology, Ptolemaic. I don't. I still tend to get in my way, and so there's like this bit of overthinking. It's like, oh no, that's it, and then it's like, is it though? So there's, you know how that goes. That kind of mental back and forth.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm not embarrassed to admit, and I feel like it's the same for like a lot of people, is that astrology is one of those weird things where everyone thinks they know it because you have like that surface layer like stuff that everyone gets exposed to, like, oh, I'm a Libra, I know like what a Libra is. um and like that's kind of where most people just kind of stop dead. Just
yeah,
and then there's this like the one time I started getting into it and then I stopped because I definitely was not in the place for it at that time. There's like whole processes of like where various planets are in your chart and then like how they transition over time, and it's so involved. And
it really is. It's very, which is weird to say because it's not viewed as such, but it is very scientific.
mhm.
Um, and like anything, there are so many layers, and different ways of practicing. So like some of my favorite astrologers are actually mundane astrologers. So so they're looking at placements for locations, regions, areas, and the world as a whole, and kind of using that to explore or help make sense. Um, Even the shape of your chart makes a difference. and how everything kind of falls into balance will interplay like in the greater themes of your kind of life story. And so and then that's not even touching on um, Vedic astrology, which in itself is it's very scary. I wish there was a way, and then excuse me for rambling and going on a tangent
You're
here,
good.
but I wish there was a way to overlap the two truly to combine both the systems because they are approached very differently systematically. And so but when you can overlap them and you can kind of see the themes in one and then read the other, what happens is like it's almost like it doubles down and you're like, wow, that's sometimes I'm going to say it's chilling. It will. It's like, that's really crazy. And so it's just very fascinating to me. So yeah, there's a lot. I don't call myself an astrologer, even though um, I have spent the last couple of years um, going to trusted places, people, and becoming certified. I don't ascribe it as something that I am. Oh, I'm definitely not professional, but um, always learning. And I think the more we, like anything, the more we practice, the more comfortable we get.
Yeah, 100%. Um, and no, I fully believe you. Like, my sister had a astrology reading, I think like early last week or like the weekend, and she she was apparently very surprised by how ridiculously accurate it was. And also like how she ended it crying basically in a good way. But like it's fascinating because it's not like any other divination practice I know of because you can't and I don't think anyone here really does that, but like people talk a lot about like especially if stuff lines up too much, they talk about like cold reading and like various people like trying to glean information from someone. You can't do that with a natal chart because that's like a solid thing that can't alter. Like it is something that is literally written specifically in the lines of the stars. Like it's not something that's going to change based on how you feel. Um, so I do find it incredibly fascinating, and I will be I will be very interested to see what you pull from my birth date, and I will say the times that I have for my birth is an approximation. It is what I was told growing up, so I hope it's correct. Um,
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see, right? Uh, even if there's we know planets move very slowly,
mhm.
but the way the charts are plotted, um, a 15-minute window is kind of where things can shift a little bit. So as close to accurate as we can get, um, the better. So
Oh
thank
yeah.
you for sharing that. You touched on something
Mhm.
that I'm gonna ask uh opinion on and maybe a little bit further because it is something that kind of um well, to be honest, it sticks in my craw. The whole the whole concept of cold reading as stated with a very negative connotation.
Yeah. And
So,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no. I know. I'm just trying to finish my thought here. So, like, cold reading is bad, but being fed a whole bunch of information prior to making it a air quotes here warm reading, that's better where a person already has information. Will you please please help me out here,
I
Diana? And
will,
I will be
yes.
right back. I've got to top off my cup of tea. I'll be right
Sure. Um, yeah, no, it's and I think that especially in kind of like the retranslation of cold reading and everything, it like stuff gets way over generalized, I think. So for context, cold reading, which I'm aware that earlier I was saying cold calling. I'm glad that you picked up on what I was saying. But cold reading essentially is the idea of someone who claims to be like a medium or psychic or a fortune teller, using observation skills and using taking and picking observations off of the person they are reading to try and make connections so that their reading seems more legitimate. Now, this gets uh, confused, I think, with a lot of people because I've had readings where, and I think also there is warm reading, which you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's more like I want a specific reading. And because I want a specific reading, you've asked for a series of information so that you can better kind of narrow down on what I want or what you're trying to get to. That is not cold reading. That is providing information to a divination artist so that they can better help you. That's not the same thing as cold reading. Um, and also another thing that's not the same as cold reading that I've experienced that can look to a lot of people like cold reading is where you are, divining for someone and you get to talking and you get on a roll with that person. So then you start talking about these different things that connect them together. Um, that's not cold reading. That's just, you know, you click with your client and like you're building that rapport and like understanding like, oh, this is why you're kind of seeing this. um that's also not cold reading. That's just getting a good vibe and a kind of a good pace with someone you're doing a reading for. um but I have seen situations where all three of those are just kind of clumped together into the one thing, and then people just go, oh, this is all cold reading, it's fake. It's like, no, this one particular thing is cold reading. The rest of it is just various parts of how you can do divination, and also like how divination sometimes like veers in different directions, especially if you do have a good connection with whoever you're doing the reading for. um, I
back. No, that's good. I mean, I'm curious. Like, I think a lot of it stems from, these uh, forgive me because this is going to sound really kind of um crappy, but a lot of the TV psychics who do where it's all show, we're putting on a show and we're reading large groups of people,
Mhm.
and eh, you know I think that a lot of it comes from there where they've got microphones on, and that's where a lot of this whole bit came from, because it's like, oh, I'm getting something and I think it's in this area, and I'm getting a name and it starts with a J. Well, if you've got 100 people in the audience, yeah,
You're gonna
you
find someone
know,
with a J. Yeah.
right. I mean, and so I think this is something, of course, if you can't tell already, it's one of those subjects that I tend to try to avoid, because I identify as a psychic medium. I do a lot of um, channeling, trance channeling. Both of you know that. Um, and so when I do provide readings for people, the main thing is I go into it completely. I go in as blind as I can, especially new people. Like, I don't want any information. It's gotten to the point now where if they have a question that they're seeking an answer to, I don't even want them to tell me the question.
Hmm.
So I will ask them to take that thought, that question, and hold it, and allow me to kind of um, get as close to the answer, if not directly answer that question through, you know, their spirit team, their loved ones, whoever is coming forward to get that answer. And so to me, like, because if you give a lot of information, or, as you know, what we've learned from Adfang, the term front loading, if you front load someone, then that person is more than likely going to try to, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you're going to try, and you have a piece of the puzzle and you're going to try to make everything else kind of fall in around it, right? And so my question is, I guess, ultimately, why is a cold reading a negative thing? Why is it a bad thing? And why, if we're seeking assistance, why do we still want to kind of discredit, in a way? Does that make sense? Does my question, is
It
that a valid question?
it is a
Line of
valid
thought?
question, yes. And I think first of all, I think that you've definitely touched base on like a big thing that I've also run into where at at most I'll sometimes let people ask a question, but especially if it's someone I don't know anything about, I'll be like, just let me pull cards and let's see what happens. Just because it does, it's tricky. I don't think so. So cold reading in the sense of like a person coming to you as they are, and you like not necessarily just pulling information from them, but also like your intuition as far as what kind of vibe they're going off of, what kind of energy they're putting off of. Um, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that I think what you described earlier is the part where like audience of 100 people just kind of like throwing out a line to see what sticks. Um, I think that part is it. I think that is not great, and I think that the problem is that we we kind of have clamped down on it really hard because of situations like that. Um, and historically, it's been made worse, not just with like the big crowd psychics, but they're like, and this is sort of soapbox material, but I think it's worth discussing for sure. Um, It definitely, I think, happened with a lot of the early century spiritualist movement where you had, you had legitimate psychics, you had legitimate people who were doing readings, but then you had folks who saw that and were like, "Oh, I could definitely make money off of this." So, the whole setup of like the table with the knocking and kind of having sort of like this specific atmosphere, um to kind of like try and glean more and more and more out of your client until uh they're just fully convinced that you have them pinned down. um I think that we as a society have failed to differentiate between that and just working with someone. Like, um we and when I say we, I don't mean like the occult community. I mean like everyone. Like the mass and large has a very good tendency of being, told something and like, oh, this is specifically what you should look out for as far as cold reading and stuff goes. And so we as readers, I think, have over time just like adjusted and, like you said, like made it more and more and more vague, just to try and distance ourselves as far as we can from the possibility of accusation. And I'll be honest, in my opinion, I think a good chunk of that is to our detriment. Like, the best readings I've ever had are with people who, I have a great rapport with, and like we have, it's not just a reading, it's not just completely blind, it's a conversation. And I feel like we can't do that on a regular basis, which is kind of really sad.
Very well said. Yes, I agree. The because I think that's where a lot of self-doubt, um, and disbelief in abilities really stems from, because there's so much out there that is readily available to be consumed, and there's such a negative connotation, right? And so you're fighting that already, and we're fighting that kind of inner voice, the devil on your shoulder kind of thing. And then we have, on top of it, you have people that are seeking readings and want answers. And the three of us know how we feel about certain readings that we will or will not do any longer. But when you're fighting against even your client, whether it's paid or not paid, with that sense of doubt, and there's this discrepancy and this hurdle that one needs to jump over in order for someone else to say, "Oh yeah, that's right." You know, there's more of a tendency to face the battle of being discredited as you go, instead of allowing it just to be in flow. Right? This is not, when we're seeking these type of readings, it's not life and death for the most part, right? Information is going to be imparted no matter what. And from my perspective, it's not my responsibility to determine how a person is going to receive that information. If they've asked for the information, they're going to get the information that I'm receiving, because I know I'm confident and comfortable in what I'm getting because it's not showy, but there's a lot of information that flows in. And especially when we start getting themes repeated and it's like it's stronger, it's stronger. This is the message. This is the message that you're supposed to hear. But it's not my responsibility to make you take it and understand what that message is. Right? I think that's kind of a big part of it.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And especially, and I've had this happen multiple times. A lot of people come to a reading uh, in the hopes that they'll walk away with every single question answered. I know because I've also done that myself. And sometimes they aren't going to get that. Sometimes there are specific things that you feel that these are things that is the message that I'm supposed to relay to you, but like sometimes the answer is not cut and dry. It is not the thing that people expect it to be. Um, like I've had plenty of where people will come with a like specific decision and they want a reading to decide like okay which choice of these two choices should I make, and half the time it's here's a breakdown of your choices, both have pros and cons, and the other half the time sometimes the cards or however you're reading is just like yeah that's a big choice, maybe you should think about that for a bit. um but yeah it is not it is not a situation of we're always going to give people what they want. And sometimes people also don't have any idea of what they actually want or need, which just makes everything even more interesting sometimes.
Because then if you don't give someone what they want or what they were thinking they were going to get, then you're a fraud or you're whatever. So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this person didn't get me the the exact answer to the question I wanted. They are clearly a fake and don't know what they're doing. It's a lovely accusation.
Well, right. And so then it throws all the responsibility back on the reader. And it's like that's a whole hell of a lot of responsibility for something that someone else wants. They if you have friends for that. People have friends to tell you exactly what you want to hear. You have people in your lives that tell you exactly what you want to hear. So don't go to someone who is offering um, something else and expect them to heel toe because that's just not how it works, right? Ultimately, what people don't understand, this is what I do whenever I do reading, and I haven't. I don't do it very often anymore because, to be honest, a lot of it has to do with um, the attitude of people that sit on the other side. So if you have an agenda, and you want somebody to respond or give you an first, not just it's not just about answers, it's if you want them to come to a conclusion, whatever, um that you have an expectation, it makes it very, very uncomfortable to read because the energy is like you're buffering up against the wall. Two, what people fail to understand is that those very minute and subtle choices and decisions that we make in our lives on a daily basis can completely shift and will completely shift what your future, what your next week, what your next day, what your next month, what your next 6 months, what your next year may look like. Because it is the accumulation of all of those choices that we make. And so I think that's what most people don't see, because most people, this is going to sound really preachy, but you guys know me, this is how it is. We tend to just be on autopilot a whole hell of a lot. So we just make decisions and have choices that we say are out of our hands, but that's not necessarily always the right way to describe it. It's just that we're on autopilot because we are distracted, we're doing something else. And so we're not, it's another way not to take responsibility for the actions that we do take. And so those subtle differences can make a huge impact as they build throughout a period of time. Does that make sense, or is that way too preachy?
No, that does in fact make perfect sense. Like I think the worst reading I ever had, and I don't know why I gave like no, I know why. I was in high school, and I was like, kind of like that blossoming pagan where you want to give every single person a tarot card reading because that's like the one skill you have. Um, so I gave one to my science teacher who, like, the reading went horribly, but also looking back on it, like, the reason it went horribly, and a large portion of that is because I gave my reading to someone who flat out was an active skeptic going into it. So part of their expectation of me was that I would get it wrong. Like that was already kind of implanted into what was going to happen. Um
Yeah.
and that can really throw you off cuz like um one of the first people I ever got a reading from kind of said it the best is that the your future and everything is going to happen already. Like you're still going to live your life whether you get a reading or not. A reading in a lot of ways is kind of like a meditation. Like you are asking another person to dissect something within your life that is happening. It is both it is simultaneously something where you should be thoughtful of it, but you also can't put the onus of your expectations of anything on like the divination tool, the reader, because the second you do that, you are setting yourself up for active disappointment.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and it's not fair. Like it, it's not bullying, but in a way, it's the need to prove someone else wrong or inept to satisfy something that they feel inside. I I think it's offensive for one, and two, um, just because you have a different idea or prescribe to different belief systems, why do you have to go shit all over someone else? In what way does that make you feel better? about yourself.
Exactly. Like, why
Like,
why do that?
I just really don't understand it, and then you have um so many people out there that kind of like when we talked about the large group cold readings, like, and I'm not discrediting any of these psychics that have these symposiums, because a lot of them, I've watched, and I would say are very skilled at what they do. But the thing is that people go in there and expect to get something, and they've got it down to what, maybe 2.5 to 5 minutes per person, if that. It's a show,
Hmm.
and they're doing it as their main way to make a living. So that's very different. And because we see it readily on television, on YouTube, this, that, the other, we have people that are like, oh, I can make money off of this. And so what do we see a lot of? Scam artists, and so there is this consistent cycle that causes authentic readers as a whole that we have to fight against. And like in the early days, the first probably year and a half of this server, um this space, I would do small practices, and I was really wanting to do more blind readings, but the intent was to have an organized group, a closed circle, and everybody be given like a number. And then, depending on the number, because I would just host, I would hold the circle and not participate, just kind of oversee, and then have someone in there who was intentionally kind of shielding, blocking their energy, and being difficult, because I really feel that that's a skill set that people that read should develop, because we come across so many people who who are like, oh, I want this because it's fun. We're doing this because it's fun, and I want to see what you can do, but I want to, I'm going to hold this wall, this grudge, this, uh, like you said, with the one person who did with disbelief, what have you, that all translates energetically, right? And so how do we learn to overcome that? That was kind of a big goal of mine. We were only able to do just a handful of them, but I think it's beneficial. Edfang, I know your throat's bothering you, but do you have anything to add?
In just a little bit.
In just a little
You
bit,
can,
okay.
yeah, continue.
Adfang is a busy
He's
a
always
busy
busy.
bee.
Okay.
But
So, um, thank you, Aka, for sharing. First of all, thank you everybody who's here with us. Um,
yes, thank you.
yeah. So Aka says she used to take in those readings. It felt very weird to decline even the skeptical ones, and then she realized it's just not worth the time. Um, yeah. So let's. Do you feel okay talking about that too, Diana? Because we see.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't really I don't really go on Reddit anymore. I'm quite secluded, one might say, from a lot of other spaces. But I do know, as someone who used to offer readings consistently, free readings, never paid, um, on uh, Reddit, there's a lot of um, again, there's in the medium and in the psychic things where there's a lot of people will go on there and they've wanted a reading or they scheduled a reading, paid a lot of the times and maybe not. Um, and then they would get, like, the reader would realize that it just wasn't going to be an effective read. And so they declined, and even if they put a deposit down, they'd return the deposit, whatever. And there was a lot of griping and irritation and agitation on the point from the sitter, saying, well, I deserve this. They said they were going to do it and then they canceled on me. How do you guys feel about that? Because if if we feel that it's our duty to give someone the best reading that we can, and then if we feel like that energy is not, because there are people, right, that our energy does not interact well with. So why should we, or why would we be expected to do something, provide something, when we know it's not going to be beneficial for either party? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So definitely I feel like, and this is something I kind of struggled with for a while because I think there is kind of like this notion of sort of almost obligation that you can kind of get stuck in, of the idea of, well, I can do this. This other person is coming to me because they don't have the ability to do this, or they don't have the same skill set. Um, and it does sort of build into this almost sense of obligation to work with someone, even if they're being difficult, even if you don't vibe with them. Um, and I used to feel very guilty about about that. I think that you should, like it is any sort of exchange of anything. If it doesn't fit or if the energy is off, don't do it. You don't need to. Uh, they can be as upset as they want to be. That's their prerogative. But at the end of the day, your skills are a gift that you are offering to help someone else with. And even if someone is like, paying you money and they put down a deposit and anything, I would agree that they'll like send it back. Money does not equal. It is this weird
You don't owe
concept.
nobody nothing.
Yeah, you are not for sale. You yourself are not for sale. Like, so if something seems
Nobody can
off, don't do
force
it.
you. Yeah, nobody can force you to do something. And if they're upset that you're rescinding your consent in the transaction, then that just shows that they are obviously not want that they don't have anyone's best interest in mind.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't really. First of all, uh, kudos to you for not being in a bunch of spaces. You're not missing out on anything. The only recent new space I went into was a disappointment and has now caused me to make a new server. You're not missing anything. Um, but like it's weird because I don't do readings anymore very much either. I think the last two I did like legitimate for someone I don't know readings were uh like service readings where I gave them readings, and like I keep things pretty open in the sense of like monetary wise, just because I know people don't always have money and stuff. So typically what I'll say is I'll give you a reading and then you can donate whatever you feel like is appropriate for that reading. And I had two people where I went through the entire reading, answered like multiple questions for them, the whole 9 yards, and at the end, both of them were just kind of like, "Well, big shrug. I don't have money," and it's like, okay, cool, but these are this is something you should maybe say up front, or you know specifically mention. Like, I I I do feel for a lot of people it is very transactional and is treated like you're buying something, and you cut.
Well, in a way, a reading is transactional, but more than just money. It is a you are kind of having a transaction, whether you want to or not, on an energetic level. That's something that we talked about at one point in time.
Well, exactly. But yeah, I think, yeah, no reason. And actually I do see someone actually did go ahead and ask, what do we think of monetizing readings and guilt behind it? uh I I'll let these two speak, but I'm just gonna clump my two things, and just like with dealing with difficult people, there's no reason to feel guilt for monetizing something, at least in my mind. Like, if you feel that your services demand some kind of compensation, then that is, you know, that's fine.
I personally have never charged for services, and I never will. At least I don't foresee myself charging for services, and it's just a thing that I've always held in my mind. But if someone feels that they, that their services that they need to charge for them, or that they want to charge for them, then that's totally up to them and the individual that purchases them. I'm not going to tell someone that they shouldn't or can't, but it's just of my mind that I shouldn't charge. But I think it's an individual decision.
Yeah. So, Aka, that's a great question. First of all, it's a really great question. And I think you're gonna ask the three of us and you're gonna get three different answers. Although I will say that I would agree a little more with Diana. For it should be up to the individual. Nice ad thing. It should be up to the individual. Um, but everything that we do is transactional. Okay. I want to be really, really, really clear about that. Most of the time, because it is unseen, and people who are not sensitive don't feel or appreciate energy, at the end of the day, never forget that your energy is valuable and it is an energetic transaction, period. Because there is, once you establish that connection, it should be a two-way flow. Okay. So, what is your time and energy worth? One. Two, ask yourself, why are you seeking to monetize this? Is it because you value your time and energy? Then, yes. And historically, when people would go to the people that were able to provide readings or do workings, whatever, there was an exchange. It wasn't always, not everyone always has had cash, has had money to make that exchange. It was made in other ways, as um, it could be food, it could be um, goods, items, different things. So that is there is a trade aspect that has been historically throughout. You take something, you give something in return. Um, I personally have not, um, I can't say 100% I haven't charged because I actually did provide services, um, undervalued my time. And because I've shifted gears now, I would say well, I really don't read anymore. Um, because that's not the priority. The message comes through in whatever way it wants to come through. Um, but I don't believe that there should be any shame if you do ask for a reading or if you do charge for readings. And I think that you should put a solid value on what you do. It's like for me, I know that if I'm connecting with someone, I can't do a 15-minute read. I can't do a 30-minute read. I am lucky if I can get done in an hour and a half, right? I always would book for an hour and say, give me an hour 15, because once the information starts coming through, it just starts to flow, and it's really difficult to find that cutoff point. So, how do you value yourself? How do you value your time? How do you value your energy? I absolutely do not feel that there should be any guilt behind it. Guilt is what other people will push upon you because they feel like you owe them something. You have a gift or an ability that they don't have, and they feel like you owe it to them. I'm here to tell you, you don't owe anyone anything. The only person that you owe is yourself. And if you don't respect yourself and your boundaries, know that no one else will. That, my friends, is what I think about guilt. It shouldn't even filter in because you don't owe anyone anything.
Yeah.
So let me go back and read. Go ahead, Diane. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I got on a soapbox.
you are good. I was just gonna add that yeah, I totally agree with that concept, and I I don't typically like charge for stuff, like unless it's, a very specific situation. I think the reason why I very much want to make sure for people that they understand that that is an option is because there are folks out there who are of the belief that whether they charge or don't is somehow tied to some level of morality. And that's just not the case. Like if you need any sort of permission, I will give you permission to charge for your services. Like you can do it. It's okay. You're not going to go to the bad place because you asked for $5 because you were giving someone a reading.
Right. And what's your time worth? I mean, you go to work with the expectation that you're going to be paid for your time.
Hmm.
Is is providing readings services not working?
It is. It
So,
is time
so
investment, it's
it,
energy investment.
exactly, which is, for me, I would say that's a dual investment. So, what is your time and energy worth? Why monetize it? Because if that's how you are making ends meet, there should be no shame or guilt involved, right? Um, Now, there's a lot of people out there. We know everybody doesn't have a whole lot of spare cash flow right now. Like there's a lot going on. So how can you mitigate that? You can ask for a tip. You can approach it in a different way. You know, there are ways out there to receive, but and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here,
It's a dead
but
horse that deserves beating.
right. So Aka asked, what kind of energetic transactions can take place? Well, Aka, you already know that. I think rephrasing the question is to what type of toll it may take, because just simply because we do not see energy doesn't mean that it doesn't exist and that it doesn't. If you are drained after an energetic connection, after a reading, right? That shows you physically that was a transaction. That was something that flowed, because if you're channeling, that is an energetic transaction because you are taking in or moving through or experiencing energy beyond your own, right? So you're max capacitizing your energy system. Um, that's why there's a tendency to have headaches, to be exhausted afterwards. There are so many ways that our body is saying, "Whoa, we're being taxed here because something is different or changed from how it generally is. We're affecting our system." And so just because it can't be seen doesn't mean that it's not having a physical or a physiological um, connection or action within. And so, how do you want to label it? And yeah, I know there are a lot of people who don't want to pay online. Um, yeah, yes, Crystal, it does take a lot of time and energy and tired and the need to nap after one. A lot of times that is because we're building up. It's like exercising, right? It's muscle memory, and the more we do, the easier it becomes. But we're expanding a lot of those pathways within our system, and so that's where staying hydrated, drinking plenty of water, making sure that we are rested, because it does take a toll. And yeah, there are many Aka who, oh, there's not many who are willing to pay online, right? Because there's this that has to do with this whole, everybody's looking to get scammed, or everybody believes, that someone is going to scam them. And so there is a constant battle, back and forth. Yeah. if you choose to ask, then I think that people have a tendency to feel like if you charge more, then that means that you're more approachable, which is very counterintuitive to myself. But I think that if people feel like you are charging more, then that means that you're more reliable because then it would make that you're a little more professional. So I really don't know. I would since
If you
Diana has been the one of us that has charged, I would ask her more on her feedback.
Well, I was going to say that typically, if you pay for something, you're going to want it to work. So even if you don't get anything substantive out of it, you're going to, feel like you did because, of course, whenever you pay that money, you're going to be like, I want to see results. So,
Yeah. Um, yes, you're right. Uh, and I think it kind of circles back around kind of to it's part of why I don't do like here is I'm going to give you a rating, pay me $60 or something like that. Now, just because I realized I pulled that off of Aka's thing over there. Astrology readings. Um, again, very involved, very complicated, which again, I feel like, and this is my personal opinion, if you're doing an extended astrology reading for someone, especially it's random, and also this is completely understanding if Achy Lady is suddenly like, where's my $60 from me? Um, for something that extensive and complicated, you should charge money. It's my personal opinion. Um, but uh, I think that it is complicated because like $240. It is complicated because you are offering something that yes, there's the reading aspect of it, but it you cannot guarantee what's going to come out of it. And I think that for a lot of people, they get very sour because especially in our very materialistic day and age, we anticipate that we are paying for a specific service, we are going to receive a very specific result. And reading for someone in any regards is not that. You are asking for information or answers that you you might not get the ones you want, or you might get them in a particular way. Um, in my opinion, that is still like the reader themselves is still submitting their time and labor and expertise towards you getting what you are paying for, which is a reading. But I do think for a lot of people, it is one of those things where they feel they should not have to pay for it, or there should not have to be some kind of exchange because of the uncertain nature of readings. Um, so yeah, I kind of skirt the middle ground on it. Again, I don't at least right now, I don't have any reading services where I would like charge a flat rate. Um, but I do I do think that it is important, but also I think that most readers, or at least any reader I've ever met, makes a point to say that like you are paying for the reading, you are not paying for the result. Um, so if you are if there is a feeling of dissatisfaction, that is that is you and your own to deal with. What do you think for channeling? Akka said, same deal. Um, in fact, maybe even more. If I'm gonna put a spirit inside of me for a rando stranger, they're gonna get what they're gonna get, and then I'm going to expect something for it because that's taxing. Like anyone who has done channeling knows that it is not a cakewalk, um, and is certainly not something that it is one of those things that I kind of put on the category of like I know it's not energy work, but in my mind, it kind of almost skirts between magic and energy work in a way where it's definitely one of those more difficult skills that require a lot of time and a lot of mental training to accomplish. So it kind of goes back to how the more labor and the more energy and the more time and the more skill that you are throwing into something, the more I feel you are entitled to request something for it. Not necessarily money, but something.
Yeah, I mean, and it should always start with respect. Like, if you feel like the other person isn't respecting you, then they shouldn't be exposed or allowed to partake in what you offer, for one. Um, Splash did say the sitter doesn't know what it takes for you to be a reader, and that is 100% true. I think that uh, much to like what Diana said about kind of full disclosure, like there is this preconception that it is like a computer. You just you know you just turn it on or you turn it off, and that is is a misconception. It's a misnomer. The longer you practice, the easier it does become to turn it off or to turn it back on again. But the ability to turn things off, um, I think for most people that practice, whether it's very natural or they work to develop the skill set, to me that's one of the biggest, most challenging aspects of whether you're doing mediumship, whether you're channeling, whether you're psychically connected. It's that turnoff can be very, very difficult. And so it's exposing yourself and your energy to a hell of a lot around you. And that in itself is very, very difficult. So, with fine tuning, with developing practices that work for the individual, you learn to harness, or air quotes here, control it a little better. That doesn't always make it so. Um, when we talk about channeling, that is a real hot button um, topic for me that I will try not to go into too deeply, because I think that's a whole nother conversation, because again, there's a lot of people who throw that around and they use that term to make themselves different, other, better than, more talented than, whatever. And then on the flip side of that, there is a whole lot of fear mongering when it comes to channeling.
Oh yeah.
So just to clarify, not all channeling has to do with channeling and allowing a spirit. There are very subtle differences. When we're channeling, we could be in a flow state that allows, um, well, for lack of a better term, I know Adfang and I both also have a little bit of a trigger over the word spirit, whether it be your spirit team, your higher self, however you ascribe it to be. Sometimes that's what we are when we're in flow state, when we're channeling. Sometimes we are just channeling that which we're tapping into that is around us. Okay. Um, Channeling with spirit is something extremely different and taxing, um, in whole different ways. Um, and it's very exposing while almost in a dissociative state, because if you've never, basically, you know that you're still in your body, but you're no longer in the driver's seat. Okay, that takes some time to get used to, um, and precautions should always be taken, because we don't want to just expose ourselves to whatever. Um, so there's that. So as far as channeling and charging for it, um, it depends on whether or not you are spontaneously channeling. I mean, then you can't really say it's like a hit or miss. If you're knowing that you can feel that stepping forward, you know, hey, after maybe, I really, that one is really difficult, and I'm gonna try to be less cranky and crotchety about the whole thing around it.
No, you're totally fine, and thank you for the clarification on channeling for sure. And yeah, I think we all have various phrases and words that are just like, I think
Right.
I
I
think
mean,
mine
because we
is.
have very simple words to describe certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, what are the subtle nuances? It's like, okay, so since we're talking about it, let's talk about um, automatic writing. Not everybody practices it, but what is automatic writing? Most people will tell you it's channeling. They're not wrong. But what are you channeling,
Exactly.
right? We're channeling our, whether you ascribe to it, our higher selves, or our, I think as Adfang would put it, our inner voice, our most knowing, right? We're removing the exterior, the clutter, and we're just kind of making a more direct connection. So not wrong, because anytime we're in a flow state, we are in a state to channel. But it's the subtle nuances and differences to how and what we are channeling, I guess. Whether it be spirit, and again, that's another whole bag of worms, um, that has very many, many meanings and connotations to different people. So it's like we use these terms, but are we all on the same page? I guess to me, that's what it comes down to, making sure that everyone is is on the same page, right?
Yeah, and it's sometimes an interesting challenge because like some people get very uh like some people don't want to dig into the nuance and like also simultaneously have like their own notion of this thing is very specifically called this, and it's like okay, but we need to talk about what we are exactly referring to in that moment in that specific context. Because like you could easily, and I guess I'll use some of my trigger words that like for me is almost like immediate sus is like if someone says that they are calling down the universe or calling down source. That's just it's like that's so broad. That's so many things. Um like that's it is interesting, and I I think like my least favorite conversation in regard to this kind of topic was a like 35-minute conversation I had with someone else who was, a relatively seasoned you know, astral projector and like considered themselves a channeler or in this case like a divining medium of sorts. Um Wound up having like a 35-minute conversation about like what the astral is and then what the mental plane was and then like what the psychic plane like they went through this process of basically being like, no, this thing is called this, like no, it's this other thing is called very specifically this, and it's like cool, but also like not everyone's going to ascribe to this to the same specific meanings and nuances that you put behind words. I think we all developed, over time our own natural internal linguistic way of like understanding the universe and like all the things that we encounter metaphysically. And sadly, there is not like like a specified broken down glossary that everyone has agreed on, nor will there ever be, probably. Um, so yes, exactly, Crystal. The whole universe gonna just get that on the line for you here in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that, Diana, because that's definitely very triggering. I mean, whenever I do use the term spirit, but I tend to use it in a much more generalized uh, context, whereas the, an ad like we have known and been exposed to people who are like, they get on a roll and they're like, I am channeling spirit. I
Hmm.
have no control. You must listen to what spirit says. And it's like, Lasai, and that's the thing. It's like, this is not this is not gospel. This is not written down. We are not, on top of Mount Sinai, and we're not being handed the Ten Commandments. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're tapping in, we're getting some stuff, and it's just there are a lot of keywords or push button words, and as long as we listen to each other, like I don't know why people feel we have to be competitive about it. The beauty is in the fucking rainbow. Truly. It is in the subtle shades, variances, and nuances. And it's like, oh, that is so cool. Like why do we observe, not we in general, why do people observe with jealousy instead of appreciation? Can somebody answer that question for me?
I'm waiting to see if Mr. Fang wants to delve into this one. I'm gonna take that as a nah. um, it's a good question. Uh, People should try to maybe pardon my French, but chill the fuck out a little bit. Like, I don't know. I do feel like people get very almost in an ownership state of their knowledge of the mystical in the universe.
I think it's a sense of entitlement.
Yes. Uh, Another.
That. Mm,
Oh, sorry.
mm.
I think
No,
I
no.
think well I think that people are like, "Oh my gosh, I am incredible. I am amazing. Therefore, you must listen to me because I am incredible." And
Yes.
to not do so is foolish. How dare you? How dare you not submit to my will?
But also,
Because
I
that's
went
what
through all this work. This knowledge is so precious and rare, and the only correct answer possible. Like, ugh, people are messy.
And where's the sense of humor? Like this is it's a beautiful thing to be a part of, but it's not life or death. Literally, like I mean, ultimately everything is about life and
not according to you, it's not.
I had
death.
a self-proclaimed, uh, I guess, mistress, because I don't know. I guess like a master witch, um, once told me straight up what like someone at least 20 years my senior straight up told me that owls were lesser beings than like ravens because they were taught that the specific hierarchy of birds involved in their magical practice. And no, like sure you maybe learned a specific way, but like don't do not exist in a universe where your sphere of knowledge is the only possible answer. Also, owls are cool.
Owls are wonderful. I'm you kind of left me speechless there. I guess that at the crux of it is what it's about is maybe that we get so attached to our system and so many people like with any culture, any counterculture. We know that the first several waves have it the most difficult and and then it kind of starts to ease up
Hmm.
as and relax as time goes on. But it's like if we only focus on what we're taught or passing passing these things on and nobody questions, how do we learn, change, or grow? I'm not an expert. I am not an expert. I am not proficient. I barely am lucky enough to understand a few things. And when I share, it's just because I have learned from the hard knocks, right? Because if there's an easy way or a difficult way, my spirit chooses the most difficult way. So it's like, hey, don't beat yourself up about it. But I want to learn from other people. I don't want to say that, yes, I do preach, but I preach because I get irritated because I'm old and I'm cranky, not because I want you to do it my way. or because I think that I have the only answers. I don't have any of the fucking answers. I don't want to be responsible for any of the answers.
No, that's totally fair. And I do want to specify, like, you are very careful with the knowledge that you have. I've had enough talks with you. I can tell that you are very careful with like how you teach other people and what knowledge you impart. Uh, I will say the person that I was referring to in that anecdote, um, they're they are the kind of person who was like very I for everything you tell me that you've done in your life, I have a story where I've done it slightly better, or slightly bigger, or slightly more important in some way. And it's like so them to say that was not the biggest surprise, but yes, at that time it did. I think they were visiting, um, because they were an aunt of my sister's ex, and I just kind of went to my room. Just like, okay, gonna go sit with your owl comment for a little while and just kind of think. Um, yeah, people are like that sometimes. Um,
People are like that a lot. Yeah, a lot.
yes, yes, they are.
It's like the control, and we that is clearly it is a triggering uh subject or idea for me, and for that I do apologize because it does ruffle my feathers, so to speak. um it's like people saying and wanting things to be more difficult, like if any of the what we've talked about, channeling, spirit work, magic, witchcraft, uh tarot reading, astrology reading, if any of that is comes naturally or is a little easier for you, and then you've got somebody that comes along behind you and says, no, you're doing it wrong because it's and intentionally makes it more difficult, that's when we should start to question, right? Why? Because they're frustrated because it doesn't come as easily for them. But it doesn't, everything doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be slogging through the mud, crawling and fighting for every inch. For some people, things just come naturally because they're a part of our being. But you should always find the humor in everything.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Humor is what keeps people alive.
I think so.
Let's see.
If we, I will say, here's just one pitch. If you are
Mhm.
offering love readings, I would just say that you should charge the highest dollar amount you feel
Oh
comfortable
my
with.
gosh, yes. Like, if someone comes to you for a love reading, or you know what, if they also come to you for like a love potion or a love spell, as much money, like hundreds of dollars, please charge up the wazoo, because they, by coming to you, they have karmically earned needing to lose that money to you.
You will do
Like,
more with their money than they would. So yeah, just take it.
yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna be frankly honest, I'll make anyone here a beautiful love potion for yes, I'm giving you permission. For $500, I'll send you a bottle of red Kool-Aid with some sparkles inside of it. Um, and I guarantee it will do something. Uh, Like, I'm so glad you pointed that out. We should have a it'll be such a nasty topic, but we should have a podcast topic one day that is just love spells, potions, and readings.
Maybe we should put that on the books for next week.
Yeah, I'm
Right? We're
game.
always looking for topics. Can you drop it in our chat so that we remember?
Yes, yes, I can. Uh, it's gonna be such a juicy topic. It's wonderful. Um, Nothing quite like uh someone trying to control someone else because of an infatuation.
Right?
Let's see. Next
Yeah,
week.
juicy and spicy. Maybe that should be like ethics. I mean, we don't talk a whole lot about ethics, but ethically speaking,
Oh yeah, no, it's 100%. The podcast is going to be called Love Reading Spells and Potions. Anyone listening in right now, it's 100% going to be an ethics class. Um, because that's what it's going to boil into. Uh, Not, I will say, and we'll get into it next week, I guess. Not to be confused with like sex magic and various things like that. Different field altogether. Um, don't don't shit on your local red witch.
I mean, this if you're practicing sex magic, I I just have a very basic understanding of, but that is generally a two-party system with people being in agreement, but it can also be a singular party system too. So, we're harnessing power. Uh so yeah,
I was gonna say
we
you
won't
are not
we won't.
wrong.
Excuse me, I could go make some magic.
Uh, yeah, I think that will be a lovely topic for next week. Oh my God, I we said sex magic and now the chat is freaking out. Calm calm down. We'll get there eventually. Uh,
Yeah, eventually.
yeah. Um, it seems we have lost the Adfang. I have to assume that work consumed them into the void. Uh,
That's what he said.
aw.
He had to go take a work call and maybe back later. Probably not.
Oh,
Bye.
oh no. Yeah, we're probably not gonna see him again. Um, Adfang has left with his 10 followers. Um, I mean, I feel over time we have 10 followers most of the time. Like our our YouTube channel hit 10 followers. I haven't decided if that counts towards me making a Markiplier-esque video where I cry about how successful we are. We'll see. But
Yeah,
yeah, we're getting there.
I mean,
We're doing the thing.
we're getting there. Like, um, we will we will try to peel back behind the curtains. I did do a YouTube live for Empathic's Journey YouTube. Um, I think it was Saturday. Uh, I don't know how quickly I'll be doing it again because one, I feel very uncomfortable being exposed in front of the camera. But occasionally you might actually see us. I have a lot of facial tics. and stuff, and the nerves definitely show. I'm just gonna say. So we'll see if I can get it edited and uploaded. If not, thanks Nix for joining, popping in. But we do try. I guess this was our segue point. Thank you, Diana. So Diana, if you guys haven't yet, um, serious look. Thank you. Uh, Diana has a Twitch channel that she streams for us. Whenever we podcast, she live streams. She also does other stuff on her Twitch channel. And is it okay for me to plug you,
Yeah, of
Diana?
course. Please plug
Okay.
away.
So Diana has we have chit chatted because in case you guys missed it, Adfang, Diana, and myself really like to bullshit. Like, we
True.
we do this podcast as an excuse to catch up weekly when we're not just text chatting like different thoughts and different things that we're experiencing. So, yeah. So she has talked about like broadcasting, like old radio, like radio used to be, like talk radio. And so um Diana has the Moon Lantern broadcast channel on YouTube, which, if you haven't listened, is fantastic. Um, Very authentic and very speaks to her thoughts. And so, if you haven't, like, go ahead and click. And then we do have um, the Casual Paranormal Network, correct, Luna? That's also the YouTube channel. So
Yes.
we're branching out. We're trying to branch out in different ways to connect. For those of you that don't always connect with us here, I will say, I'm really excited because we are amidst everything. I think, and I am gonna speak for them, but I'm gonna let Diana chime in. But I think we're trying to find our voice or feel more confident and comfortable in our voices to share a little more. Would you say?
I would say that for sure. And I do think that if I could say anything, like, bear with us. It takes time. It takes a lot of energy and superseding a lot of anxieties to do these sorts of things, but we wouldn't do it if we didn't want to or love doing it. And yes, I will get you all the links to all the things. I will say that at this time, the Moon Lantern broadcast is just on my personal channel, which also includes like Let's Plays of stuff. So I'll post that as well. It's just under Diana Tempest, but I'll grab it. And that podcast slash radio broadcast is it is mostly just talk and it is very new. It is I guess what I've decided is that I'm airing it sometime like around midnight, so like Thursday morning midnight, Wednesday night midnight. Um, so if you have nothing to do at those hours for some reason, feel free to uh, catch the broadcast on Twitch. Otherwise, I usually immediately upload after streaming, so it'll be on my YouTube, which I'll link here in a moment. But yeah, it again, bear with us. Everything grows in time, and a lot of this is um, maybe not new, but definitely like muscles that I think need stretching.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we've been working towards. I know for quite a while. Like, I think for both of us specifically, it's been in the works for quite a while. Um, it's about building community, but like it's also moving away from I would say fears or worries, anxieties, even though those still come into play. Um, it's more like we're willing to put toes in the water in the very, very, very shallow end of the kiddie pool.
Yes. Yes, I would fully agree with that.
Nix asked you, what game do you play, uh, Diana? I know Akka plays all kinds, and Akka does stream here in the channel, in the server as well.
I was gonna say, Akka, please don't just scream. That would be a little concerning. I play a lot of different games. Definitely some multiplayer ones. Repo, um, Dead Till Daylight. A few others. As far as RV There Yet is kind of a new one. Outside of that, currently I've gotten sucked into RuneScape. But I think some of the stuff that I want to stream next uh, is probably you do scream randomly, you just can't hear it. Is probably going to be a couple different indie games. Um, Fatum Batula, East Shade, Mundan, Paradise Killer. I like a good, tight story, but I'll try anything at least once, depending on what it is. Also, yeah, I completely can empathize with that. We are all screaming inside. Um, take it from your resident necromancer. Your skeleton is just you trying to escape your flesh sack, and it's constantly screaming all the time.
Most definitely.
Ooh, Rust and
Nice.
Pal World, nice.
Nice. Do any of you here with us have any other questions or anything you want us to, besides games, of course, want us to touch on?
Yeah, it's a pretty open floor. We're at hour two of this podcast.
So quickly. And I love your new PFP, by the way.
Thank you so much. I had to, and I'm not ashamed, like especially for something like a profile picture that isn't gonna get like sold anywhere. I screamed at ChatGPT uh, for a while to get it to make this, so um, I like it too. I might see if I can try and get it to have more flowers. Um, but yeah, I wanted to get something more concise, and one of my goals is probably to stick with both this name and this profile picture for the year.
Nice. That's dedication. A whole year.
Yeah, especially for someone who rearranges their furniture and their online identity with the same level of eagerness. Nix wanted to. They were wondering if we had talked previously about spirit guides and mediumship. I'm thinking mediumship. We maybe have we covered that in a topic before?
Um, Briefly, not for a whole chat. Um, so I guess we have the following week's episode, don't we?
Yes. Yes, this is perfect because this is setting us up for a schedule, which is something we do not currently have. So I would love to have because those are two very interesting topics. I would love to have a spirit guide topic, and I would love to do a mediumship topic. Um, so
And that concludes the month of January. Like that
yeah.
gives us 3 more. So the rest of the month, um, next week we already have our topic for next week. So then 2 weeks out, the 13th, what would that be?
I was gonna say like,
Bear with me here.
oh, you're good. I haven't looked at a calendar in 5 days, so I'm actually gonna go take a peek and see. Uh,
So next week is the 13th, and that'll be like potions, uh, love spells, and that kind of thing.
mhm.
So then the 20th, we can talk about spirit guides, and on the 27th, we can talk about mediumship. And bam, that wraps up the month of January. Holy Hannah.
Yeah, perfect. And hopefully, well, actually, I just imagine by that time we'll have enough topics to probably have an idea of what we're doing in February as well. Brilliant.
Yep, exactly. And you guys feel free to let's see here. Go to Talking Esoteric Questions and ask questions there, or you can ask specific questions for either Ad Fang. I guess we need to change that in there. Luna Tempest, Diana Tempest, or make suggestions like for topic subjects because we're pretty open. And if you're interested in it, more than likely we're interested in it. But uh, life, we get a little scattered.
Yeah, but definitely if you post questions, we will get to them. We will answer them. Uh, just speaking for myself, I love answering questions. Give them
Yeah,
to me. Um, but yeah, we are always around somewhere.
somewhere. Exactly. Um, Maybe I don't want to answer for Ad Fang and Diana. Ad Fang probably lurking. What about you, Diana? Lurking?
Uh, what is the question that I miss?
You and you said we'd always be around. Crystal
Oh
responded
yeah,
to
yeah.
with
Um,
lurking. I'm not necessarily lurking. I'm more like the squirrel with the ADHD. I've got too many things going on in the brain.
yeah, I feel that. Like, um, I'll kind of like scan through everything, and if there's something I feel I can interject on, I'll interject or I'll answer where I can. But um, it just depends on the day. There's some days where you just kind of like scroll through everything and you're just like, eh. But most of the time, I try to I try to be involved, but there's definitely a lot of lurk for sure.
Most definitely. Well, do we feel like I thank you, Crystal, one, for joining us from the get go and bearing with us the entire episode. Yay, kudos to you. Um, that's pretty awesome. And I know that because everybody is in different time zones, I know Splash and Aka and Adila are gone because, let's see, it's like 2 in the morning or so for them. So, timey-wimey stuff.
Oh yeah, I always get thrown off by
um,
folks who are on the other side of the world, and it's just mourning for them.
yeah, exactly. And Nix, thank you for jumping in and joining us. Thanks to everybody who had such great questions. Like that's we really do. I mean, I am going to speak first. We really do like questions,
Yes,
really and truly.
absolutely. Uh,
Oh gosh, no need to why there no, don't apologize. We do this because we also are in three different time zones.
it's yeah, it's okay, I promise. Like the fact that we managed to put this together every week is a miracle, given the fact that was there at least one, if not 3 hours apart for each of us, depending on the time of day.
Well, Adfang's always now 4 hours ahead of me. You're 2 hours ahead of me. And so that leaves me all by myself.
Got to get you back over this way so that you're at least in one of our time zones.
Yes. It's just timey-wimey shit anyways.
It's so true.
I will say, I just want to say I have been incredibly cranky the last. I'll say week. It's really been the last month, but the last week really got to me um, because of the extreme cold temperatures and the length in which it lasted. Today we're finally warm, and this should amuse. Um, I am currently at -10 below with like 25-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So the wind chill, I think, is like -35, 40, which is better than the negative highs of 40 to plummeting below -50s. And I'm over winter.
Yeah,
I'm ready just to be planted in the ground or put on a pyre and roasted.
I, yeah. I'm going to try and not imagine in like I'm trying to imagine a world where -10 degrees with 20 something degree winds is better, and it's very
Yeah.
difficult. um
Well, I mean, just think of how dry you are,
yeah.
and then add amplify the cold and the dryness.
Oh god, no. I'm
So it's like,
no.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
I have to say, my middle son, kudos to him. Although I did notice the last 2 days he kind of disappeared, because yeah,
I feel
really
so
cranky.
spoiled because earlier today I was like, oh, it's in the like 40s or 50s here and sunny. I guess I should keep the windows and everything closed. It's chilly. And now I'm like, that's nothing. What's wrong with me? Um, it's no, I actually I prefer cold over hot, so I'm 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 okay with it right now. It's fine. Could be
Yeah,
so
that's
much
what
worse.
that's what I used to say. That's what I used to say. But if you're going to have to be indoors either way, at least if it's hot and you have to go out, like you can cool down a lot quicker,
Hmm.
right? Because we have AC. You really like, yeah,
No, I feel that. Like it is so weird. Like, the idea of and I guess that's true. Like, I didn't think about that as well. It's like warming up, especially when you're out, is a lot. It is more difficult than cooling down. Um, but yeah, no, I will I will hold my tongue. I am fine. Colorado is fine. It is not.
No, 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 no. It's good. It's good. You don't need to hold your tongue. I just am also gonna say I'm very thankful that the difference in daylight when it's not overcast and trying to snow, um, the few minutes that we're picking up every day are noticeable.
Oh,
Thank
that's
God for
good.
that. Because it's just, let's see. Well, it's not quite. It's just almost 10:30 here, and it's finally light out.
Goodness. Goodness.
And so I'll be getting dark again, definitely by 3:30 in the afternoon, and before 4, it'll be pitch black again. So, just saying, this has been a long, cold, difficult winter. So that's my bitch of the day.
Completely valid. Yeah. Jeez. Then there's me complaining because the sun is coming out at like 6 and it's going away at like 7. Ugh,
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, why aren't we just sleeping all the time?
for real. I I'm completely off topic. I'm very pro everything should be seasonal. We should have like living income coming in from the government so we can all take winter off and just sleep in and be hermits until the air is warm again.
Yes. Yeah, like our animals get to do it. Animals do it. Like, why do we ascribe to a system that's like, no, this is what you must do. This is what your life is supposed to look like. Dredge, dredge, dredge. Somebody's got to be wrong, right?
Somebody's wrong. Somebody's and now we're in this weird like midpoint where it's like dredge, work forever, do everything. Simultaneously, we're building robots that are going to do everything for us. You won't have to do anything ever again. It's like you can't have both. Can't. Um, but yeah, I think we did a podcast.
I think we did. I think and we actually weren't quite sure if it was going to work out, and um w- we made it. We
We
did
we
it.
did it. We made it.
Yay, yay, we did it. I feel like Dora.
Oh gosh. Bring on the bring on the copyright notice.
uh,
Exactly. We always celebrate the success of a well completed podcast. Uh, but yeah, thank you all for joining us. We always love seeing both existing and new faces whenever we can.
yeah, and thank you guys, like Diana said, thank you guys for joining us, for listening in, for interacting, um, being open to hearing our perspectives. Okay, one quick last question. Okay,
Yep, I see.
make it quick,
Spiritual Splash
flashy. Make
has something for
yeah.
us. If it's my social security number, I can't give that to you.
Weird dreamscapes, anyone? Join the club. The
Yeah,
answer
like
is yes.
so many weird dreamscapes. Like what do you want? Do you want a high school that's flooded for some reason and colored green? Do you want like a nightmare forest but everything's okay? Like vivid fighting some beings spirits high school crisis. Yeah, exactly. Like join the club. That's yes. Um Nyx asks, "What's a dreamscape?" I'll just quickly. Uh,
Yeah.
that's just the space that you're dreaming within. So just the location of your dream. But yeah,
Or it's the foundation of the dream itself. Yeah.
yeah,
Again,
or that. Yeah.
certain terms have multiple layers of meaning. Um, I will just say that we did have a full moon. We would have experienced it stateside on the 3rd. So that means that Splashy and all of those on the other side of the world should have experienced it on the 2nd of January. So that was a new moon in Cancer. So um, without pulling up the actual chart, uh, where Cancer would fall in your chart would be what area of your life or house within a 2 to 3 degree orb would be activated or more intensely um, energized. So, yeah, there's that. But the moon is uh, sensitive, emotional, we know, connected. And then Cancer is a water sign and it's very much connected to emotion. So, you could have had dreams that were very emotionally charged or had strong emotions within them. But a lot of it, I know, here we go, tangent. Um, with a lot of the external planets moving and with the, what is it, the I3 or 3IA Atlas, whatever. We've had several asteroids that are coming in from deep space and uh, very far outreaching locations, not just in coming into our galaxy. And so, with that, there's an understanding that that's bringing in higher levels of cosmic consciousness. So, yeah, there's a lot of new energy that's coming in that we might be experiencing in different ways. No, that is the wrong answer, Splashy.
Yeah, no. Um, just for that 50
We
more
got to
lives.
learn. Yes. More, yes, higher levels of cosmic consciousness. Yes. So think of them as activation points, um, energetic ambassadors, if you will, um, to help shift us collectively into um, a more higher level of consciousness so that we can work and understand, stuff a little bit more instead of being bogged down by the heavy, intense polarities that we find on Mother Terra.
This should be. I mean, at this point, it's going to be in February, but we should have an astrology uh, topic podcast at some point.
I'm Yes, we can. We definitely can. But Advang is like, he'll be very, very quiet. But since I've got you here with me, let's do it.
I mean, I'll interject how I can, and also, Adfang will have topics and days where he can talk for 2.5 hours. He'll be fine. He's
This is
also
true. I
back.
mean, we could throw him a construct conversation.
That is true. That could be the second week of
I heard
February.
my
Could be
name.
constructs. Y- So you missed a couple things. Primarily that we
What
now
happened
have
was,
we have topics all the way up until mid-February now.
Wonderful.
maybe we can, if we, once you have it scheduled, we can ask Akka because she's really good with Vedic astrology too.
Oh, that would be cool. I think that would be a neat idea. I do want Adfang here though, because I feel like the three of
For
us
what?
together.
Oh, yeah, of course. But I mean,
Yeah.
have her as a guest speaker. Like
Oh
it's kind of
yeah.
nice to have different voices. Yeah, of course Adfang is here. It's not the same without.
Adfang, you have a month to figure out how what you would like to add to an astrology based podcast topic.
I don't know if I've told you guys this, but I'm not that big into astrology.
No, I know. That's okay. You just have to help carry a podcast about it for 2.5 hours.
Okay.
All I'm hearing is translating into I have zero interest and I'll only do it because I have to.
No, I'm here for it.
Yeah, it will be fine. And then following that podcast, the following week we're gonna have a topic on constructs, and that's gonna be your time to shine.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that we want to touch on, or do we feel like this is a good jumping off spot?
I think I am definitely good. Um, Adfang did just come back, so if you want to keep going, Adfang, I am down.
I'm
Yeah,
here for a few more minutes, and then I've got other stuff I've got to attend to.
Well, you have a few
understood.
minutes, so teach us all of your wisdom.
Be kind to one another. Party on.
Wise words from a wise man.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Less wise words from a moderately wise man.
Yeah, be excellent to one another.
Yes.
And don't do anything Adfang wouldn't do.
Uh, do do everything I would do, and then write a book.
Did they now? Okay. I mean, if that's
Oh
what you
man.
want to do with your
Alrighty,
life,
guys.
Yeah.
you're more than allowed to do that.
All right. Well, yeah. Thank you for joining us as always.
As always, it has been so fun. Um, really appreciate it.
I'll be less sick next time, I hope.
I hope so too. I hope everyone here is less sick next time.
All
G
right. See
two.
you guys later.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you for joining us.